Oh man, I think Nate Zoinks was trying to poke me and get me to speed up. Sorry guys, I just looked at the clock and we were at 1 minute after, but man, it's good to see you guys tonight. So Oregon Mike's out there in the house, standing on mod duty, which basically, I just want you guys to know that Mike being the mod that's pretty much like being a sheriff. So that's a pretty high level, responsible position there. So Oregon Mike, thanks buddy. For anybody that hasn't, go follow Oregon Mike's channel. Even though he hasn't put out a lot of content lately, the content that he does have is awesome, and he's a fellow explorer like us. Jacqueline, good evening. Angie, Craig home in the house, man. Hey, I got something coming up for you too, Craig, a little bit later. Nate Zoinks, I got something for you tonight, my friend. You're going to be really excited about seeing. I was just laughing about Jason Perry's comment to Oregon Mike out there. Sarah is in the house. No, this is a custom hoodie that my brother from another mother, Daniel at Lola Overland, made for me on the spur of the moment and gifted it to me. I think this is one of the last thin black hoodies they were able to get their hands on. So I feel pretty honored, but there's a bunch of you guys that have the camouflage or the multi-cam hoodies that I don't have one of those yet. So I need to hit my brother up tonight and see if he can send me a camo one. Oh man, that is delicious. So I'm working the cherry hint tonight. I heard a rumor Oregon Mike was working on the watermelon one. So I got but I think I might have screwed up. I grabbed 2 cherries. I usually try to have alternate flavors here. So depending on what I'm talking about, I can match it up with the right flavor of hint. So, man, I got to tell you guys that you guys were so awesome. I was really worried about in last week's Can't Talk Live video, I showed you one of my grandpa's old rifles. It was actually a rifle that I shot when I was young too. And a lot of you guys sent me messages and really enjoyed seeing that. Now, you guys all know how YouTube is about the gun, so I was really hesitant to do that. But you guys really came through with the super chats and stuff, so I thought, screw it. So tonight I'm going to show you probably the gun that I shot of my grandpa's when I was young growing up, more than almost any other firearm, and is in my collection now. And you guys are going to recognize a couple of things about it, and it'll start to give you a picture of more of a picture of what kind of a man my grandpa was and what kind of things I inherited from him. So I've also got a little blaster I'm going to show for Nate Zoink's benefit, because he was teasing me with pictures of one of his little projects. So got some fun topic tonight. I thought I would talk about, you guys know, any of you guys that saw my last video that came out know that I've really been enjoying kind of going back to my roots with the truck camping setup. And it's not the be-all end-all for everything. I definitely love the rooftop tent for stuff, but especially here in the winter, I'm really enjoying that that full-size truck and the old school kind of setup I'm running out of the back of it. Man, I just had a really good time on that last trip out there with it. But I've still got some experimenting around to do, some other options with that truck and canopy. So tonight I thought I would talk to you guys a little bit about I've got quite a few years of experience, obviously, camping. And over the course of those years, believe it or not, most of what you guys have seen on my channel has been bushcraft stuff, building shelters, staying out in the woods that way. You've seen the rooftop tent going all the way back to my Nissan Xterra, where I had a CVT roof tent on the top of it. That was my first rooftop tent. I believe I was actually one of the first people in Central Oregon and one of the pretty early adopters of the rooftop in North America. I had been seeing them for quite a number of years in like the Southern African countries, but I think I was, one of the earlier ones to have it up here. And then, so mostly what you've seen on my channel is the bushcraft stuff, the rooftop tent, the ground tent. You guys go back to when I got my first Jeep that you've seen on the channel, my Dune Jeep. Still miss that Jeep, by the way. For the first couple of months that I had that Jeep, I camped in a ground tent out of it. So there's quite a few videos on my channel of that. And then, so those are kind of the main setups. But over the course of my life, I've actually I've camped in the canopy in the back of the truck. I did that for a number of years, or at least did it off and on over the course of a number of years. I've camped in a truck bed camper, obviously, not a ton, but some. And then camped in a camp trailer, small handful of times, like a tow behind camper. So, and then one time I've taken out a overland style off-road trailer. So that's probably the thing that I've done the least of, but I thought I would just talk to you guys. Yeah, I got a little mudslinging in the last video, man. I actually got a little mudslinging today, man. I went on a drive and got into some muddy stuff. So, no, and that's a really good point. As I have no recovery gear yet really in the truck. I mean, a shovel. So that's pretty old school. Awesome. Life, liberty, and campfires. Thank you, my friend. Really appreciate that. So yeah, and you guys hit me up with any, holy smokes, overlanding with Camping Mike and Buddy come through again. Oh, that's an awesome comment, Mike. Trucks, guns, coffee, guns, and ammo. Awesome, man. Yeah, you guys rock. All right, we're good to go, man. Okay, so real quick, Charlie Foxtrot asked a question. Jeeping with Jen and John. You guys are going to like this episode too. I got a little shout out for you guys coming up later. So thank you, man. Really appreciate the help on the fuel. You guys drive a Jeep too, so you know those things suck the fuel down. So Charlie Foxtrot, my man, is asking about, did the insurance company take care of me after the Jeep fire? So real quick, I wanted to, this is a good opportunity for me to tell you guys a little bit about that experience, and I'll try to make it kind of fast. But there were some good lessons there. So ultimately, the insurance company basically did their job, is what I would say, Charlie. They, they did what insurance companies do, which is their goal is to pay you the least amount of money that they can for your loss. Like, that's the job of your insurance company, right? Like, they don't make money by paying everybody a bunch of extra money. So what my insurance policy covered in that case was the base vehicle. So what I had was, I had a Jeep Rubicon. And here's something to know. Here's the first thing to know about insurance companies. They generally don't give a lot of credit or a lot of value for specialized models of vehicles. So basically, when they gave me the first offer for the for the Jeep for the loss, it was based on a sport model Jeep with adding on the options that my Jeep had, like the leather Sean Squatch P&W, man. Yeah, I took a page out of your book for that last video. I did a little bit of campfire, cast iron cooking. I was thinking about you when I was doing that. So anyway, going back to the insurance, the first thing to know about that is that your standard insurance is, you're going to struggle to have it really pay for if you have like a more specialty model of a vehicle. Like in my case, I had the Rubicon model of the Jeep, and I even have an extra special Rubicon because I had stuff like the cold weather package and the 411 gears and things like that. So that's the first thing, is understand your insurance company is not going to favor those types of things. The second thing is, my policy only had $1,000 worth of coverage potentially for what they call non-factory add-ons and accessories. So that was where I took the big hit on that, is that between my wheels, tires, lift, roof rack, rooftop tent, Rotopax cans, all of those accessories, all of that stuff, there was no coverage there for. So the good news is I was actually afterwards for my next vehicle, my next Jeep, I was able to add some coverage there. So now I added about $10,000 worth of coverage to my Jeep for non-factory add-ons and accessories. So sorry, man, I didn't mean that to get Craig home. There he is, man. Thank you, my friend. Cheers. So I didn't mean to get so detailed on that, but so that's basically the crux of that is if you go overlanding and you have a lot of stuff, a lot of accessories on your rig, I would suggest adding a rider to your policy or something that'll give you some coverage for that, number one. The second big area where I took a hit was all the gear inside the vehicle. And so what I was able to do since then is I was able to add coverage to my dwelling insurance that now gives me coverage for personal property, even if it's a loss, even if it's not at my house. So those are the things I would recommend. Cosmic Padre Off-Road. Thank you, my friend. Vegetarian equals bad. You notice the sign, man. That's very cool. Yeah, yeah. It's just a kind of a fun thing. I see these old. I love these old tin signs. I mean, they're not really old; they're reproductions, but they have all kinds of cool little expressions on them. And for you guys, this is in really poor taste, but that says vegetarian. Loose translation of the old Indian word for bad hunter. So their words, not mine. If there's anything politically incorrect about that, by the way, but yeah. So one thing that I do really quick for you guys is hopefully I got my buddy Daniel from Lowell Overland standing by, because for those of you that don't know, they're running a pretty cool video, and I always mess up the details on stuff like this. So we're gonna see if we can hit up my. We're gonna see if we can hit up Daniel and see if he's amongst the living. And you guys will have to tell me if you hear him or not. Let me make sure I'm not showing his phone number to the entire internet. But can you guys hear the phone? Wow.
Casey, my man.
My brother from another mother. Hey, just so you know, don't say anything distasteful, because I've got you on speakerphone. I have a couple other people in the Jeep with me.
Oh yeah, when would I ever do that?
Well, you know, just didn't want you to say anything inappropriate that you would regret later.
All right, I'll try not to.
All right, so actually, you are live on the Coyote Works Camp Talk episode. I didn't see you pop up on the comments yet, so I thought I'd just give you a call.
Yes, I was just about to tap in. I finished the food, not dressed yet, but.
Okay, excellent. So hey, man, we don't have a ton of time, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to tell everyone about the kick-ass giveaway that you guys are doing.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. We're going to be giving away a Garmin Phoenix 5 Plus, which is a really killer multi-sport GPS watch. Yeah, and we're also going to be doing a bunch of other prizes too. So that's one thing I was wanted to discuss with you too.
All right, so you got a whole bunch of prizes, but the big one being the Garmin GPS, and that's a GPS-enabled watch?
It is, yes.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, it's got a lot of really cool features. A little too many to list really on here, but if the folks want to check it out, it is really a cool watch.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so how do people enter?
Well, the way you enter is you can simply just follow Lolo Overland on Instagram. That'll be a way to get yourself one entry. You can tag 5 people in either comment post, which is on yours or our Instagram feed, and that gets another entry. You can buy anything on the Lolo Overland website, and that will give you 5 entries. And then, of course, the bonus entries coming from the Jeep Fire shirt will give you 15. And so all those do add up. If you can get up to, I guess it would be 22 entries total.
Cool. From a purchase. So like you could go, if you ordered a Jeep Fire t-shirt, you would get your 2 for your purchase. You'd get the 15 for the Jeep Fire, and then you would get 5 more.
Yep. Absolutely.
And what about can people put in their Coyote discount code, and will those purchases count towards it too? They can add. Yeah,
if you put the promo code Coyote at checkout, that'll save you 5% off your entire cart as well, and so that works just fine, and you'll still get all your entries and all that. So.
Okay, so and how much are the Jeep Fire t-shirts?
Those are
$29. Okay, so I just want to make sure everybody gets it, that basically that's like your best odds is like just order a Jeep Fire t-shirt directly from Lolo, and you'll get like a whole. It's too late for me to do math on that, but you'll get a whole bunch of entries, right?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do that quickly for you too, but I'm not even going to give it a shot. It's Sunday, and you know how it goes.
I totally know how it goes, man. All right.
We'll be giving some light bars and other things like that. So not puny prizes as well. So there will be a whole bunch of other prizes that those entries will go towards if you don't win the watch. but somebody's going to win that watch. And so you got light bars and whatever else. I mean, when we go live and do our prizes and our giveaways, you know, we like to give away a lot more than what we say we're going to. So we always have fun giving stuff out. So it's kind of addicting once you start drawing names out of the hat or whatever. You kind of want to keep going, and that's what we normally do. So there'll be a bunch of prizes. So yeah, you get a lot of chances to win stuff from us. We love that stuff.
That's awesome. And yeah, sometimes I don't know how you guys make any money. You keep doing everyone solids. I constantly get messages from people that are talking about how well you guys took care of them. And I'm watching the comments right now on this live video, and people are saying,
we're in it for the fun. So that's what that is.
That is awesome, man. All right. So, I think I'm just watching here. I don't see any questions, man, but Daniel, you know, I love you, man. Tell Josh that I love him, and, hope everything's going good for you guys. And I'll kind of confirm for maybe leave a comment and just copy and paste those details on a comment in there so everybody can see it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, let's tap in here once I jump off the phone with you too. So I'll be in there to answer any questions or anything like that. So
awesome.
Thanks for giving me a call and running through the thing. I'm excited for Friday.
No, man, that's really cool. And you know what else is really cool? That pretty soon you're going to help me work on making a theme song for the Coyote Works channel.
Oh, I know. I cannot wait, man.
I'm really stoked about that. I have like some Beyonce tunes that I wanted you to listen to to get a little bit of an idea of kind of what I'm going for.
Definitely.
Maybe because I like old school, maybe some Britney Spears, something along those lines.
Hey, don't ruin the surprise. I'm already working on something. I don't want you.
Okay. All right, man. Awesome, brother. I love you, Daniel, man. Thank you for doing this, and I'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Absolutely. I'll see you on there.
Later, buddy.
See ya.
All right, guys. Sorry about that, man. Thanks for hanging in there with it. I just I knew I couldn't do as good of a job of giving you guys the details on the giveaway and everything as my brother Daniel. So that's pretty cool, man. Order the Jeep Fire t-shirt from Lola Overland. We'll be doing the live giveaway next Friday, the 5th. Gary Watts, thank you, my friend. Oh, you made the cowboy breakfast. That's awesome, dude. Awesome. Yeah, that's one of those simple but just amazingly delicious breakfasts. So, all right, guys. Well, let's see. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So order a Jeep Fire t-shirt from Lola Overland, and you'll get a bunch of entries, or follow Lola. Daniel will put the details down here. But, man, I know you guys know that I have a little bit of a business relationship with those guys too. But honestly, it's been really awesome. They handle everything with the Coyote Works merchandise, and I'm able to make a percentage off of that. That's really helping. And so, yeah, man, you guys are rock stars. Between the super chats, the direct contributions to my PayPal and the link down below, and the merchandise sales, I think you guys have really made me see that it's possible to just be able to sustain my channel completely independent of YouTube or corporate sponsorships. And that just feels really good, man. It feels like we're in this all together, man. Love it. Okay, so Charlie Foxtrot has another question, man. He just asked, with totally no disrespect to Lolo, why do I have Lolo do my lift kits than say Les Schwab? So nothing against Les Schwab. In fact, an interesting little piece of trivia, like I've grown up, I live in the town where Les Schwab started. I've actually explored on the Les Schwab ranch, and I knew Les Schwab himself, as well as several of his relatives and everything. So no, nothing really against Les Schwab. I do feel like over the years, what I've seen is they're a little bit more expensive. However, the flip side of that is generally whatever you do there, they pretty much take care of you and 100% on it. But it has definitely changed over the years. So here's the reason why I use Lolo Overland is those guys understand the way that I use my vehicle, and they understand the fact that, like, most of the people that get a lift kit installed at a Les Schwab's or something like that are not guys that really use their rigs like we do. So some of the Les Schwab stores may happen to have a guy there who knows a lot about lift kits because he's kind of an outdoor guy or something like that. But for the most part, those guys look in a parts book. You go in there and you tell them you want a lift kit. They look in a parts book. That parts book tells them here are the 3 lift kits that they have access to that are that size range for that vehicle. And then they make their recommendation based on that book. What I've found in recent years is most of the time there's not somebody there that really understands the difference, the nuances between how one lift kit performs relative to another. When I go to Lolo, I can tell them what I do with my vehicle, and they will put together a lift kit for it that accomplishes that. And that's what I care about. I don't really care about what brand it is. What I care about is I care about how it performs. And what I do is I put a lot of sustained miles on really rough roads. So those guys know that. So they put a lift kit in my Jeep and in my truck that were tailored towards that. So that's really it, man. Nothing against Schwab's. And I know for a lot of guys that, that's your only option. The other thing is, like, they just do a lot of stuff at Lolo. Like when they install my lift kit, they like paint mark all the bolts and everything so that I can reference those paint marks over the course of the next week, see if anything's loosening up or anything like that to keep torquing stuff down. So they just know what they're doing. And that brings a lot of comfort to a guy like me. So anyway, that's kind of that. So with all of that said, let's get into this before we lose the whole night. So what I wanted to talk to you guys about a little bit was a couple of weeks ago, I did a video on kind of the rooftop tent versus the ground tent, but there's 2 obviously. And since I've been in the truck, I've been getting a lot of questions about, well, what about running a pop-up truck bed camper on it? Or what about sleeping inside the canopy of it? So I wanted to talk to you guys about, and I've done a little bit of pretty much most of those things over my life. And I wanted to talk about kind of what some of those different setups are and what's good about them. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you guys about this is because I think that maybe there's some of you that'll help you kind of sort out what kind of setup might work good enough for you. So I'm going to try to keep this fairly simple and not spend too much time on it because I got some cool show and tell and some other stuff I want to do too. But basically, let's start off with a rooftop tent because that's what you guys have seen me do the most of in recent years. And the reason why I like the rooftop tent setup is the rooftop tent setup matches really well with my style of camping and exploring. And what I mean by that is I'm generally not very sedentary when I'm out there. Like for the most part, I'm moving and exploring. I'm driving, I'm covering country, I'm exploring different places. And I'm basically camping when it's time for me to have dinner and get some sleep. And the point of me camping is to have some dinner and get some sleep, wake up in the morning, have some breakfast, and then I'm moving again. So that is more what I consider the overland style of camping, right? Which is, it's really more about the journey than it is about camp every night, right? That's the difference to me between overlanding and camping. So the term overland goes way back to the early days when people would describe how are you traveling. If you think about it way back in the day, if you wanted to get from, say, the East Coast of the United States to the West Coast of the United States, you would either travel overland or by sea. So if you were telling someone that you were going to the Western United States back then, you would tell them that you were traveling overland or you were going by sea. And if you were going by sea, you were going to go way down south around the Horn of South America and all the way up the Western coast, right? Or you were going to go overland across the country. So overland is about traveling. It's about moving. It's about covering country, right? It's much less about the destination. So why is a rooftop tent a good setup for that? Well, the rooftop tent is very simple setup. Not always easy, depending on the model, but usually simple, right? And so they can be easily set up in the dark, in various weather conditions. And you guys know this, I'm famous for rolling into camp in like the last 15 minutes before it gets dark or after dark, because I can't tear myself away from the exploring that I'm doing. So it probably 50% of the time I'm setting up my rooftop tent in the dark. But that's cool. That's what rooftop tents are good for, man. You can throw those things up in the dark. That whole kind of setup is really easy for me to grab my stove, boil some water, have a mountain house meal, or I can pull a table and a chair out and set up a little bit for extended of a camp and sit and have a nicer dinner. But at the end of the day, That's what a rooftop tent is really good for, right? Now, what I say is what a rooftop tent is not as good for is if your style of camping is spending a lot of time in camp and lounging in your tent and things like that. The downsides, obviously, to a rooftop tent are your vehicle's not very mobile. You have to stow away your rooftop tent to take off and run off on it. So that's kind of the thing with a rooftop tent. Again, what style of setup to go with has a lot to do with what's important to you and what style of adventuring you're doing. Scott Edwards is here. How's it going, my friend? Yeah, I'm definitely going to get down there before too long. Actually, I almost ran down there this weekend. I heard there's a good coffee and espresso shop down there. So for those of you that don't know, Scott and Trina are down in Lakeview, Oregon. And so give them a shout out, say hi to them on here. And if you need a great cup of coffee or espresso and you're down exploring like the Plush area or Adel, Heart Mountain Antelope Refuge, Sheldon Antelope Refuge, going down to New Pine Creek on the border, any of that area down there, Lakeview is kind of your jumping off point. So I just saw a comment here from Asa Lee Meadows who said he or she got their Tepui tent and annex used for, what does it say? Used for $800. And the reason why I wanted to comment on that is because I've had several people ask me recently about less expensive roof tents. So the Tepui sounds like a good one underneath that $1,000 mark. I mean, if you think about it, that $800 is, twice as much, really is one way to look at it is double like a decent ground tent. So that's kind of the rooftop tent. So what I would compare a rooftop tent directly to is like what I talked about a couple of weeks ago, which is the ground tent setup, like what you guys saw in my last two videos of camping out of the truck, right? Now that setup is still relatively simple, relatively easy, as long as the tent that you have is a fairly easy to set up tent. And to me, the advantage of that is it gives you a little bit more comfort in your sleeping quarters. To me, it works really nice for the wintertime when I might potentially be spending more hours in my tent and more hours in there awake besides when I'm just sleeping. It's nice to have that extra room. It's also nice if I want to set up a base camp and then explore out in my vehicle from there. So that would be another scenario to consider a ground tent. But at the same time, a simple ground tent setup like that doesn't take a lot of effort. Could I set that up in the dark? Yeah, sure. Definitely not as easy as my rooftop tent, but I could definitely do it. Josh Kaiser just threw in the comment that he really likes that Gazelle tent. Man, it really has been a good tent for that. So I would say that the ground tent and the rooftop tent, those are kind of the two classic, more, kind of overland style camping setups, right? With the rooftop tent being Lolo, you guys are awesome. Thank you, man. With the rooftop tent being more well suited to when you're moving campsites every night, when you're setting up camp in the evening, breaking camp in the morning and moving on, that's more of a rooftop tent. Think of the rooftop tent like the modern covered wagon. That's what I think about it, right? And then the ground tent is a little more suited towards, you might be spending 2 nights in a camp spot. You might want your vehicle free. You might want to take off your vehicle and go get firewood or whatever. So I would say the next setup there, and this is going to be kind of cool, hopefully, the next setup I would say is like the pickup truck that I have, but sleeping in the canopy. And this is where like Josh up at Lolo, he's just setting up his truck that way. Basically, that's what they modeled my truck after, was his setup where he threw the soft topper on the back of his Dodge. So sleeping inside the truck canopy, and I did this years ago. I did this when I had a Chevy short wide box pickup truck. So now back then, what wasn't great about it was I didn't have any kind of a bed liner or anything, and the canopy had a lot of metal in it as well. So as far as temperature control, it was really a terrible environment. So we'll see how like the soft topper, I'm thinking will be a little better than that. And plus I have a bed liner, a plastic bed liner in the back of my truck, so the bed will be more insulated. So what's the good thing about about setting up like a platform, or even just rolling out your bedroll in the back of your canopy? Well, one thing for me that's really important is bed size, right? Like a lot of pickup trucks, a lot of the medium-sized pickup trucks or small-sized pickup trucks have like 5.5 foot to 6 foot, have shorter beds. For me, I need about a minimum of a 6.5 foot pickup truck bed to be able to lay out and sleep comfortably in. So that I think the truck canopy can work well as long as the bed's long enough. It's small, but size-wise, it's going to be more similar to like the interior space of a 55-inch wide rooftop tent or something like that. So I'm going to try that, I think, on my next trip. And I've had a ton of people ask if I've considered just setting up some kind of a sleeping in the back of the canopy of my truck. So I think I'm going to do that on this next trip. And I'm not going to set up anything in there. What I'm going to do is I'll just roll my bedroll out in the back of the truck, just to try like running the heater back there. I don't know exactly how the ventilation's going to work. Obviously, the canopy is airtight and watertight. So, I don't know how it's going to be with condensation and everything. So I just need to get out there and kind of try it. So that'll be my next trip, is I'm just going to sleep in the back of the truck. But here's some things I remember from the past about it that are maybe some potential downsides. Usually when you sleep in the back of the truck, what that means is you have to take some of your gear out of the truck to make room for your bed or to set up your bed or whatever in there. So that can be a little bit of a bummer. It can be a little awkward, like crawling around inside. Definitely most trucks and canopies aren't tall enough, like really to sit up very, very high in them. Certainly not stand up, and even difficult to sit very high, and depending on the canopy. So that can be a downside. But having said that, the upside is you're eliminating another piece of gear, right? So right now I've got my canopy on my truck, but I'm also carrying that ground tent and that cot. So I would eliminate that from my loadout, which right now I'm only using about a third of my truck bed. So if I eliminated those things, I would be probably only using 20% of my truck bed. I think some things that are really cool, what I used to do is back in the day when I camped that way, is I just put a cot in the back of my pickup truck in the canopy and slept on that. Now, what I did, I used an old military wooden cot, and I actually had to shorten it so it would fit inside the bed. So it was a little tricky, but it worked out pretty well. I think one thing that's kind of a cool idea is putting like one of those decked drawer systems inside the bed and then sleeping on top of that. Of course, the downside of that is that's going to reduce the amount of room inside the amount of headroom inside that canopy even more. So I don't know. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. It's been a long time since I've done it that way, so we'll get out and try it again. I would say kind of the next progression there would be like the overland trailer, bug out trailer, overland trailer, off-road trailer type of setup. I think those can be an awesome setup. They'll go almost anywhere. For me personally, I always feel like it's a little bit of a pain to drag a trailer around with me, even though they're relatively easy to maneuver, and this might be completely unreasonable. I always kind of worry a little bit about getting myself back into a really tight space and then needing to negotiate that trailer around. It doesn't happen a lot, but I have got myself like up into a canyon a couple of times in my camping lifetime where I didn't have any room to turn around, and I ended up backing down a really narrow road a long ways, or a really narrow old wagon road. So so those are some things to think about there. The going up from there would be something like the actual truck bed camper, like a pop-up. I think for me, that's probably the most amount of comfort that I would ever get to. Oh, I got a question there. I'll try to remember to answer it later about the Coyote Works knives. So I think I would at some point like to actually run one of those pop-up like Overland style truck bed campers, something that it's a little bit more secure walls, a little bit more insulated, incorporates an enclosed space where you're able to have some privacy. My thoughts on that is I think that would be, I don't really like to camp by other people except people that are invited to be camping with me, right? Like, I don't really want to see anybody else out there. I like to listen to the sounds of nature when I'm out there. I like to hear my coyote brothers howling at night and everything like that. What I'm not really into is I'm not really into listening to cars drive by, listening to other people's radios, things like that. So I think maybe like the whole truck bed camper thing might be a little better environment for me if I'm going to camp in places where there might be other people around. Yeah, that's a really good point about the trailer being great for base camp style camping too. So when you get into the trailer and the truck bed campers usually stick out a little bit from the sides of the truck, and they add a little bit of height, even though the pop-up ones don't add as much height. But basically, when you start going into that realm, you're starting to lose mobility. And to me, that's really the awesome thing about those first two setups that I talked about. For me, mobility is maximum priority. I don't want to run into terrain that's going to prevent me. I don't want my vehicle to be the thing that prevents me from going someplace where I want to explore. So to me, those first couple of options, the rooftop tent on a small SUV or the throwing some gear in the back of a pickup truck, are kind of the highest mobility. And you can actually be pretty comfortable that way. So I think, kind of my last real point that I wanted to make about this, and then I'll start looking there for some questions from you guys. What I think is a really good way to start is the ground tent in the back of your rig, because you can basically do that same setup like I have, even if you own like a small SUV of any kind, right? So the reason why I think that's a really good place to start is because that's the lowest cost entry point into camping. And a lot of the gear that you use, if you think about it, even if you switch to a rooftop tent in short order, all of the other gear that goes with your ground tent camping, your stove, your dishes, your chairs, your tables, all of that stuff you're still going to use that with your rooftop tent. So I would highly encourage anybody who's just kind of getting into overland camping or camping of any kind is just start out with a ground tent, go camping a couple of times, get the rest of your gear in order, and sort of figure it out. You might actually enjoy the ground tent thing, but it gives you a way to kind of work out a lot of it before. Craig, you're awesome, my friend, man. Thank you. Craig, with $20 in the trip fund, man. That's what is that now? With the price of gas, that covers like a quarter of my next tank of gas. Awesome, man. Good to go. So anyway, that's my thought. So I'm going to pause here for a second. Let's see where we're at here with the comments. All right. Taxpats on. Awesome. Sierras and sunsets. That sounds interesting. Sierras and that says he camps in a 4x4 Chevy Colorado with a raised hard shell. Perfect size, can get anywhere. Yep. Ground tent and air mattress is so good. Do I ever sleep under the stars? I absolutely love to sleep under the stars, man. Yeah, I do a handful of times every year for sure. Yeah, I do enjoy that. Oh, so Asa is asking what's the PayPal link. So the PayPal link for anybody that wants to make direct monetary contributions is down in the description of this video below and down in the description of all my videos. And I think it says donate to Coyote Works, and then there's a link. You just click that link and it just brings up this PayPal button. And all you have to do is just hit that PayPal button, and you can use your PayPal or you can use your debit card or your credit card or whatever, to throw a couple of bucks in the gas, tires, camera, and right now the land fund. So, all right, let's wrap here. Let me breathe for a second. Major weakness is your first live chat, man. Welcome, my friend. Yep, T4, MAB0013. All right, Randy H has asked, thanks for the super chat. By the way, Randy has asked, have I ever had any issues with the cot legs on ground tent and soft ground? So that if I'm on soft ground, what I'll usually do is put something underneath the cot legs, like to pad them. Like I just happen to have a wool blanket in my kind of my camping kit in there. And so one thing that I do is like I did on this last trip, because there was snow underneath my tent, which is kind of soft, like you're talking about. So I just doubled over that wool blanket and set it so that each of the legs were on a corner of that wool blanket, just to give a little bit of padding. And what he's talking about is he's talking about the fact that if you have soft ground under your tent and you have your hard pointed legs of your cot on that soft ground, it can be hard on, it can more easily poke holes through the floor in your tent that way. So anything, some pieces of cardboard. I've even used like gloves before. Like it's not such a big deal when the cot's just sitting there. But then like right before I go to sleep, maybe I'll grab a couple of pairs of gloves and put a glove underneath each cot leg. I've done that quite a bit. So overlanding with Camping Mike and Canine Buddy. You guys are awesome. Hey, Mike, I haven't seen if you left a comment in here, but you should drop a comment in there and let everybody know kind of roughly where you're at. For those of you that don't know, Mike and Canine Buddy are traveling all over the West. It's got a pretty cool rig, a Ford truck with a pop-up camper on it, and they're just going all over Arizona, Utah, traveling around, having a good old time. Yep. So Slow L just said they're using a foam pad cut down for the cot legs. I've done that before too. Just cut a few squares of some like mattress pad or something like that, throwing it underneath there. But it's a good idea to pad those cot legs. All right, let me look at my list here so I don't miss anything. Oh, that I was going to bring up. So all of the options, here's an interesting thing to think about. All of the options for sleeping inside your vehicle. So this is rooftop tent, sleeping in the back of your pickup truck bed, sleeping in a pop-up truck camper. If you think about it, one thing that can sometimes be a little bit of a challenge is all of those options really require you to find a fairly level parking spot for your vehicle, which isn't always possible. So just something to think about. Also to think about is if you can't find a level spot to your vehicle, do you have a way to level it up? I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's a couple of different ways that I'll do it. You can either stack a couple of rocks and roll one or two of your tires up on rocks. That can be a little, that sometimes can be a little challenging to get your vehicle leveled the way you want because of your suspension under the vehicle, right? So the suspension tends to articulate a little bit. So, if you want to raise up your front passenger corner, it doesn't always raise up the front passenger corner when you roll that front passenger wheel on top of the thing. So one thing I do is I pull out my bottle jack and I'll jack directly on the frame or directly on the bumper to raise whatever corner of the rig. So that's something I wanted to throw out there. All right, you guys are already good to go, man. I don't need to talk about the PayPal link in the description below or the super chat. You guys are on that. But I do always like to remind everyone that 100% of that money goes back into my channel. Like this channel isn't something that I just use to make a bunch of extra money. That's what I have a job for. That supports my lifestyle. The money that I make for my channel does stuff for my channel. And right now, as a lot of you guys know, I'm within sight of being able to pull the trigger on a piece of land. I really want to get it. I'm just looking at really cheap remote pieces of dirt out in the middle of nowhere to have Coyote Works camping trips on, right? So anyway, that's something I keep rat holing for right now. All right, so what do you guys want to do next? You want to do some show and tell, or let me see the next couple of comments. You guys ready for some show and tell? Oh, yeah. Okay, so Al is going on there. He keeps asking about the Coyote knives on back order. So I haven't talked to Chad in a couple weeks, but generally he does run about 4 to 6 months back on those Coyote Works knives. I'm going to tell you guys something that's not top secret, but we'll see where it goes. It's very, very early in the game, but I am talking to a well-known, high-quality knife manufacturer about potentially doing a less expensive, like more of a production model. So we'll see where that goes. Right now, what I'm looking at is a folding knife. So Chad will continue to make the Coyote Works fixed blade knives. Anybody that has those knives know that you cannot get a better knife than that. Yes, I know they're expensive. Yes, I know that you have to wait for them, but every knife of that quality that I've ever had was a similar type of situation. So anyway, stay tuned for that. Maybe a Coyote Works folding knife coming up. In fact, I got a phone call to make, I think, tonight on that. But yeah, there's a little bit of a wait for the Coyote Works knives, man. I think Chad is on here too, so maybe hit up. Oh yeah, there's Chad. So Chad, what is that? Can you just confirm that for everyone? Is it about 4 to 6 months right now? We'll see what comes back in. Oh, Scott, thank you, man. You guys are awesome. Oh, Chad's in Wyoming right now trying to plan things. Okay, so he's sitting in a hotel lobby. So cut Chad a little slack, man, and he'll jump back on here. We'll get him. Maybe we'll get him on the phone or something, or we'll get him involved in one of the next live streams, man. Andrew King, thank you, my friend. Really appreciate it. All right, are you guys ready to do some show and tell yet? You want to do a all right, so a couple of things real quick. Then we'll get into the exciting show and tell. I want to back up really quick because like 3 people asked me about in my last video, which I've used this in lots of my videos before. I don't know why it was the last one that people finally noticed it, but this light that clips onto this hat. So this is the cap-on light made by a company called Claymore. And I now have a couple of these. I have one in every rig, which is only 2 rigs. It's not like I have a whole fleet of rigs or anything, but I absolutely love these things, man. As you guys know, a headlamp or some kind of light on your head is absolutely critical for camp life. You do not want to be trying to hold a flashlight while you're doing a whole bunch of tasks around camp. So, but the problem is I always wear a ball cap around camp, and it's a little bit hard sometimes to run a headlamp with a ball cap. So the idea of a clip-on light is really awesome. These guys are like super nice and lightweight. I mean, it literally, I don't know, probably weighs as much as 3/4 or something like that. But it has actually a regular light on off, variable light setting. So it's adjustable brightness, right? So I usually just run it on the low setting, but then it also has different modes. So it turns into red, which I use a lot, so it doesn't totally mess up my night vision. And then it also has this LED like floodlight, and you can see how it flips. So that floodlight gives me a nice wide, even light over an area. So anyway, just because a couple of people asked about it, I wanted to share that. This is the Capon, C-A-P-O-N is the model, and the brand is Claymore, spelled just like it sounds, C-L-A-Y-M-O-R-E. And if you're going over to Lola, these Claymore series of lights, make several other lights too. I have one of their headlamps and one of their area lights, but this clip-on hat light is my absolute favorite of all of their lights. It's nice and sturdy. It stays clipped onto the hat well, really light. There's oh yeah, so you can see the brand there, Claymore. So so if you guys are going to head over there to buy something, man, check these Claymore lights out and throw one in your cart, and you'll get a couple of entries for it. So wanted to show you guys that. All right, next show and tell item. I'm going to save my grandpa's show and tell item for a couple more minutes and do Nate, you still on there, buddy? Where's Nate Zoinks at? I just want to make sure he's paying attention and he's not off distracted. So Nate, this is for you, my friend. So this is my Faxon G19. This is my first kind of Gucci Glock here. So let me just give you guys a little bit of a rundown on this. I'm running the Trigicon RMR on it. I'm running the Cyanide Designs Comp. I'm running the Suppressor Height night vision sights. This is the Faxon Firearms FX19 Hellfire. And then I added the comp to it. It came from Faxon. This model comes with a threaded barrel, an extended capacity magazine, And I added the this is the Surefire X300U light, and man, this thing is I'm loving it. Overwatch precision trigger in it. That trigger is the bomb. Yeah, awesome. I love the texturing on the grip is awesome. It just sticks in my hand, amazing. So for those of you that don't know, this is my very first Gucci handgun. So I'm pretty excited to be playing around with it. And I've got some videos coming up shooting it. I wanted to get some rounds through it. At this point, I've probably got about 2,000 rounds through it. So I'm about ready to actually do my review video on this pistol. But I really wanted to get some rounds through it before I did that. And I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of a teaser, a little bit of a spoiler alert, as I really enjoyed it. Carol, thank you so much. So I don't know how many of you are interested in a little bit of the gun stuff, but you know, obviously, I say this before, you know, YouTube demonetizes everything that has anything to do with a gun. But man, you guys are so good about the super chats that I feel comfortable doing that if you guys are interested in seeing them. All right, so the next thing, guys. Nate, what'd you think about that, my man? See, you're not the only one that has a cool Gucci Glock. For anybody that doesn't know, Nate had one, I think, he might have put a picture up on his Instagram. All right, now this is the one that I'm really proud of, guys. So this is one. This was my grandpa's shotgun, and there's kind of a funny story behind this particular shotgun right here. Let's see if I can move the camera back far enough that you can see the whole thing. So this is a Browning over and under. See, it's empty. Browning over and under double barrel shotgun. This has a 24-inch barrel. And I want to show you guys something. See that paint job on the barrel? So this is really, really typical of my grandpa's. He was a man of infinite practicality, and he decided one year that this shotgun, the barrel was too shiny, and so he put this camo job on it, spray painted the barrel. Now, he left the wood. He didn't spray paint the wood or the receiver on it. And I asked him about that one time, and what he said made total sense. When you're in the duck blind with the shotgun, really all that comes out of the blind is the barrel. So that was the most important part to him, to reduce the glare and get camouflage. But check that out. I mean, that was way before anybody knew about multicam or anything. Look at that camo pattern, man. Yeah, I think my grandpa should have had a side business finishing guns. So anyway, man, this is an awesome shotgun. I've killed, I can't even tell you guys how many ducks and geese that I've killed with this. How many times we probably ate our Christmas goose or our Thanksgiving goose. Usually we had goose like for Christmas or for like Christmas Eve or something like that. Thanksgiving we always had turkey, but I can't tell you how many times this is the gun that probably killed our Christmas Eve goose. So anyway, man, I'll probably take this out on one of my next trips. Really been enjoying, like, I don't know, man, it's hard for me to explain, guys, but just the feeling of like being out there in the woods with some of that gear, the grandpa's truck, and a couple of these old guns that have been in the family for a long time. And my grandpa absolutely loved this shotgun. He was a huge bird hunter, man. I think I've shown you guys pictures of, you know, him down in Summer Lake. Him and my Uncle Sheldon, his brother, my Uncle Sheldon, were huge. They would travel all over hunting ducks. Let's see if I can find a picture here. Yeah, so here's a picture of me and my grandpa and my uncle. A bunch of baldies that we'd shot. I think that was the day after Thanksgiving or Christmas. And here's a picture of my grandpa and my Uncle Shell with a whole row of ducks in front of them there. Let me see if I got one here. Another picture of my grandpa. Actually, look at this. In this picture, if you guys can see that, I'm holding this shotgun. That shotgun that I just showed you is the one that's in my hand in that picture. And I don't know, I was probably 18 years old in that picture. Damn, that was a sexy mullet, wasn't it? Yeah, so anyway, man, I just wanted to share that with you guys. That's been a super cool thing. A couple other show and tell things is, where's my buddy Black Pearl Voyager? Is he on here? Yeah, Craig, good eye, man. That's a Browning Satori right there, man. Upland Special, straight English style stock. Notice that no curved, no curvature to the stock right there. Straight English style, more of an upland style stock. But that's the style of shotgun that we shot in my family. All of us, the Browning pump shotgun, that same style of stock. So Black Pearl Voyager, man, I don't know if you're on here, but I got a little gift package from Black Pearl Voyager. I'm really excited about. This is the George Stewart book, Earth Abides. So good post-apocalyptic book right here. So I'm really excited about reading that. Somebody had mentioned that I needed to find a book called Memoirs of an Oregon Moonshiner, and I found it. This book is the story of a guy named Ray Nelson who ran, let's see, all right, so somebody's asking for me to talk about the Winchester. So I talked about that in my live video last week, but I'll mention it again. So this book right here is really cool. This was actually written by a guy who ran moonshine in Eastern Oregon for really, I think, almost all during Prohibition. So really excited about it. DJ Hobbies, man, you made it, my friend. Good to see you, brother. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good, man. You have to sleep in a single man tent for 2.5 weeks? Woo! Yeah, hope you have a good pad, man. Hope you have a good pad. So awesome, man. So anyway, I love books like this, local history books. Now, the bad thing about this is the pages are just literally falling out of it. But having said that, it's functional, so I'm just working my way through it. The interesting thing is it has a signature in here, and it's dated December 1976, so I'm not sure when the book was written. But anyway, really excited about that. I thought I'd show you guys, too, another book that any of you guys that are exploring Central Oregon, this is mostly centered around kind of the Fort Rock, Christmas Valley area. And it's been around for a long time, but this is a book called The Oregon Desert. It's a great read, really entertaining. It's basically about a guy that grew up out there. His whole family grew up out in the Christmas Lake, Christmas Valley area, but there's a lot of references to the old roads, the old communities, those old ghost towns that don't exist anymore in this book. So if you're doing much exploring and much overlanding in Central Oregon, definitely read this book, especially if you're in any of that country, like between Hampton Buttes and Brothers and Frederick Butte, Christmas Valley, Fort Rock. That whole area is where he went back and forth across. So this is by E.R. Jackman and Rube Long, and Rube Long is the one whose homestead was out there in that country. All right, so let's see what else we have on here. How we doing for time, guys? Doing a couple of shout outs, user questions. Wanted to give my buddy out here, man. He's on here almost every Sunday. Awesome super chat contributor and just a solid dude. Really good questions and everything. Always really enjoy hearing from him. So Craig, thank you. I think you're still on here, man. Really appreciate all your support. Really have enjoyed like all the interaction with you and everything. David Stillman asked a question. So David asked a question on my last YouTube video, and I think as a result of that water Rotopax can that I had that almost froze solid, David asked the question about if I've ever had a Rotopax container crack or break from freezing. And I want to say that maybe I've just had good luck, but I have had my Rotopax water cans frozen solid a number of times, and as of yet, I've never had one crack. or leak from freezing. So again, I don't know that they're all perfect, but I've never had any issues so far with Rotopax cans. I hesitate to say that. I don't want to jinx myself. One thing that I do is in the wintertime, like my water containers like that, I'll generally only fill them about 75% full and leave some air gap in there because, as you guys all know, when water freezes, it expands. But air can actually compress, right? So if you leave an air gap in there, you provide a little bit of a buffer zone for your container. So that is one thing I do. That's your pro tip for the week, is when you're in really extreme cold temperatures and your water containers might freeze, make sure you always leave an air gap in them. And then I had a cool tip from Dave S., also one of the YouTube subscribers and followers. Dave S., I don't have no idea if you're on here, my friend. But Dave S. shared a tip that I remember doing when I was young, but I hadn't done in a long time. So I thought I'd pass it on, because food is oftentimes, something that when you go camping a lot, you're always like thinking about what can I take to be a little bit different or to be easy or whatever. And Dave S. shared a tip to bring that fried chicken makes an awesome camp meal. Like, bring fried chicken from home or from your favorite place that makes a bucket of fried chicken. You can eat it cold or hot. You can put it together with almost any meal. You can chop it up, make a sandwich out of it, or shred it, make a sandwich out of it. You can shred it, throw a little barbecue sauce on it, heat it up, make an awesome pulled chicken barbecue sandwich out of it. Or it's good just to grab right out of the cooler and eat a piece while you're on the road or on the trail. Without spending a lot of time. Chop it up, mix it with a little bit of mayonnaise, maybe some celery or some things like that. Throw a little seasoning in it, and you've got a good chicken salad there. So I forgot about that. I haven't done that in a long time, but fried chicken can make a pretty good trail food. Another shout out I wanted to do is this was a little bit of a surprise one for me. Jeeping with Jen and John, who they were on here tonight, but I happened to pop over, and as you guys know, I don't have a ton of time to watch other YouTube videos, but I popped over to their channel, watched a couple of their YouTube videos, and just really enjoyed them, man. I like their style. They're laid back, chill, relax. They must be down in the Southern California area. One of the last videos of theirs I watched, they were out in the Mojave kind of area. Sarah Woodruff says she loves leftover fried chicken. So, oh yeah, there they are, Jeeping with Jen and John. So look at their comment right there, guys. Jeeping with Jen and John, and go follow their YouTube channel. They're real consistent about putting up videos, and they're just out there jeeping and enjoying the country, and actually really enjoyed kind of watching their videos. So I know, right? We're all getting hungry now talking about this food. David is asking, I don't know if he's asking me or somebody else. Wow, do I know about Royal Farms? And I do not. I don't know what that is. Travis Hudson, man. Fried chicken out of the cooler on the boat during the summer. We call it boat chicken. Awesome, man. Nate likes tacos and beer, apparently, man. Okay, so Al is asking if I have any thoughts about a Coyote Works camping jamboree. Oh, you got your 99 Chevy Overland Suburban 4x4, man. That's awesome. Same year as my truck. So Al, I am trying very hard. I think the next step for me to have group trips again is to actually get a piece of land that I can have them on. They just grew to the point where it's tough to have them on public land, and the public is getting so much more tightly regulated that I just was feeling kind of uncomfortable about that. So I'm getting pretty close to being able to pull a trigger. Doug Carr, thank you, my friend. I don't know if I really appreciate you guys and have a lot of fun doing this. So that's an important thing, right? If we're having fun, as long as it's self-sustaining and I'm having fun, man, I'm good with it, guys. So anyway, back to the question about the jamborees. I definitely want to do that, man. I loved doing those group trips and meeting all you guys. To me, that's what's so cool about these live chats, is I feel like I'm hanging out with you guys, but it definitely would be better to actually Oh yeah, so look at Sarah's comment on there. Super chat she throws up there. Fried jackrabbit backstraps are even better though. So the first time I met Sarah and Jamie, I think it was Sarah who like very timidly came over to, it was on a Coyote Works group trip, and I'm chilling there getting my rooftop tent set up, and Sarah like sort of timidly, you know, super cool woman, and once you get to know her, but a little bit timid at first, you know, kind of comes over and like invites me to come by her and Jamie's campfire if I'm hungry, and says that they have some extra food. So I go over the first night, I stop by Sarah and Jamie's fire, and she's like, oh yeah, we got some, we're just cooking up some jackrabbit backstrap. You want some? So I sat and enjoyed a nice appetizer of jackrabbit backstrap with Sarah and Jamie. That was our first evening that we spent together, and it was sort of like love at first sight. We've been friends ever since. The next night they cooked badger. The badger wasn't so, I'm a little bit on the fence about the badger, to be honest with you guys. I mean, I would definitely eat it. If it's a zombie apocalypse, I'm definitely going to eat it. But Sarah, I don't think it was stew. I think it was just, you just like cooked it in a pan, that we just ate pieces of the badger. So, I mean, I'll eat it. If it's a zombie apocalypse and we're in a survival situation, I'll eat it. It was meat, protein, good stuff. Anyway, that was kind of cool. What else, guys? I think I'm coming to the end of my list. I always feel a little bit sad when I feel like I'm getting close to the end. What's coming up next? I usually always get some questions about that. So the next couple of the next things are, I'm trying to finish up a video on how to use a drone to kind of scout for campsites and recon and stuff like that. So getting pretty close to being done with that. Oh man, Diamond Diva's Pure Romance, Dana Barish. I hope I say that right, Barish. More plants, less meat. Man, I'm one of those people, like, I hate to say this, Dana, like, you are so awesome, so please don't be offended by this, but I'm one of those people, like, if I eat a meal that doesn't have any meat in it, then I feel like afterwards I actually have to eat a meal. So anyway, I do recognize that I probably need to work a little bit more plants into my food for sure. So other than that, my next camping video, I'm kind of planning out, like I said, I want to try doing a trip where I do sleep in the back of the truck and the canopy. But I'm also kind of hankering on getting into some rougher country and with the snow. So I don't know if my next trip, I might be back in the Jeep if I'm going in some really rough country. And, you know, I don't know if you guys remember, but that was kind of my thought. I mean, the truck's pretty capable, but it's not capable like the Jeep, right? So, I mean, the Jeep's got the winch, and I've got, you know, it all set up. It's got the lockers front and rear. It's got the clearance and everything. So my next trip, I'll either go into some pretty remote hard country in the Jeep, or I'll take the truck out for another full-size truck camping trip and try sleeping in the back of it. And I'd like to do that in some really cold weather too. So, but man, it's been a weird year out here. Like, this is one of the driest Decembers on record, and it's crazy. We finally got a little bit of snow like last week, as you guys saw for that trip, but really not much, and we haven't had any since then. So it's almost dry again. Yeah, Nate, like, that's perfect. Nate says the truck is a different tool, and that's absolutely the case, man. It's like anything else. You got, you know, this is a tool for shooting birds on the wing, right? This is a tool for shooting steel or shooting holes in paper. And this is a tool for defending yourself with, right? So different tools for different jobs. So good, solid point, Nate, solid point. Yep. Yeah, so it's really interesting. I was a little nervous about doing some of the truck camping videos because after doing the Jeep so long, I was a little worried maybe, you know, I've really built up the Jeep audience, and if some people were going to be disappointed about seeing the truck too much. But it's been surprising, man. It's been really cool to see how much you guys have enjoyed that. Holy smoke, Steve Burris says it was 53 degrees along the Snake River today. Man, that's like spring. That's almost like shorts weather again. Yeah, that's crazy. Yep. Yeah, cool. So several people are commenting that they like They like the truck videos. That's awesome. Yeah. Lone Rock. I'm trying to. My name is Jeff. Just asked if I've been out to Lone Rock. And I'm trying to remember where that is. I don't know. I don't know that I have been to that area. Oh, Nate's saying more bushcraft too. Well, interestingly enough, I've got that kind of slated also. I was just going through some of, it's going through some of my older vintage gear. I think I kind of talked to you guys a little bit about that, but I kind of want to been having a craving to get out in the pine trees where I've got some more natural materials to work with and do a little bit more bushcraft style of a couple of trips. You know what, Nate? When you come out, we should do some of that stuff. We should like camp out of our rigs one night. Then maybe the second night we grab our packs, walk away from our rigs, hike a little ways and set up like a bushcraft camp. I bet we could come up with a cool place to do that. That would be pretty cool doing that together. Cause man, I used to do that with my buddy Todd Stone from that has Prepper Up, the store in Primeville, the retail store, has a YouTube channel, Central Oregon Survival Network, Primal Outdoors, and I used to do that together. Bill, I can't remember, Rimrock Outdoors was Bill's YouTube channel. My other buddy, Nick, Central Oregon Desert Explorer. Yeah, I used to have a bunch of guys. Sean Squatch, PNW, that was on here earlier, man. He came over for some bushcraft trips. So, yeah, it's some cool stuff. Good to see so many of you guys enjoying the truck. Lummox Overland Adventures. Hey, wanted to give a shout out to you again, my friend. I saw the picture. I was actually getting a little bit worried about you, man. I didn't see anything posted up for a few days, and I was going to send you a message today, and then I got your message on Instagram, so that was cool, man. Back Creek Cabin asked, do I have any caches still buried? That is affirmative. I definitely have caches buried. Yep. Oh, somebody's awesome. Man, Sean Squatch PNW, dude, how I've been thinking about you, man, because knowing what your line of work is and everything, I've been wondering if you've been working too much lately. There's Southwest Idaho Overlanding. George is on here, man. Awesome. For anybody that doesn't, go check out Southwest Idaho Overland's YouTube channel. He does a lot of just like, he goes on some trips in some pretty remote areas too, man. That's pretty cool. All right, guys, I think that's about all I got. So, man, it's always awesome hanging out with you guys. Yes, somebody's calling me out on this. I got to get back out there and do a dig up and sample the food in one of my caches again. Okay, so Cache 082 is asking, does the Faxon fit in a Glock 19 holster? It does in some. It does fit in my Safariland Glock holster. Now, because I have the compensator on it, I'm actually... It would fit best in a 17 length holster. Now, it does not fit in like my T-Rex arms or my tier 1 concealed Glock holsters, but it does in my Safariland. So I think for the most part, you need to plan on getting a specialized holster for it. What it seems like is this is based off of a P80 or Polymer 80, I think they're called. Yeah, P80 frame. And so that being the case, I think the trigger guard is a little bit wider than the Glock trigger guard, but I'm wondering if Nate Zoinks might know too, because I think he's got one real similar. To be honest with you guys, this is the first non-Glock Glock. This is the first custom Glock. This Faxon, based off of a custom P80 frame, is the first one of these that I've ever owned. So, but I know a lot of guys have run a bunch of them. All right, one last thing. Hey, I had a question about some recommendations for food to store. And I know some people have a love-hate relationship with Mountain House meals, but here's another pro tip. here's the deal. This right here is 9 servings of rice and chicken in a number 10 can, 25-year shelf life, right? At my age, I'll probably never have to buy another can of this, right? If I play my cards right, I'll die before this can expires. So the thing about Mountain House meals for a long-term food storage food is it's almost impossible to find things that you can store that have the same shelf life. And really, they're not terrible. The ingredients aren't terrible. They're made for the most part out of real food. Pretty light on preservatives. They do have some sodium content, which obviously makes them taste good too, because I like salt, so that's a good thing. But as far as long-term food storage, they're a good way to go. So Mountain House number 10 cans, something to think about. You could have a half a dozen of these out there on your shelf, supplementing your long-term food stores, and that would be a TextPat's giving me a hard time about using the term real food. It's not fake food. It's not like fake news. Yeah, NC Farmer knows what I'm talking about. See, Mountain House is great. All right, guys, I really don't have anything else. So, man, it has been awesome hanging out with you guys tonight. As always, I really appreciate your support. I love your questions, and really cool seeing you guys interacting with each other on the comments too. Yeah, now a whole bunch of people are giving me crap about the real food comment, but it's food. Yeah, man, I just hope you guys are hopefully, I feel like maybe some of this COVID stuff is starting to wind down a little bit. I'm really hoping for an awesome year this year, and hope you guys are all staying safe out there, man. Really, really appreciate every single one of you guys. Like I said, I cannot tell you enough how much I've appreciated the direct contributions to my PayPal and the super chats on these live videos. And please, guys and girls, ladies, guys, please do not hesitate to send me messages on Instagram, asking questions, hitting me up with questions in here, man. That's what these lives, that's a big part of what these are really for, is for you guys to have a chance to ask me questions and for me to just get a chance to hang out and visit with you guys. So with having said that, guys, I am going to be out of here in a couple of minutes. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of it with me, and I will see you guys on the next one, guys. For now, Coyote Works, out.